What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dave P with my main man RJ Pepino. We are the cream cash flow real estate and money. Today we got a great video for you today. In fact, I'm putting RJ under the gun, everybody. I am going to hit RJ with a series of questions. He's going to know exactly how to answer these particular questions, and what we're discussing are the top 3 rules that you need as a property manager when you are bringing on a new tenant or a new resident in any one of your properties. RJ was not prepared for this video, but he knows what these top 3 rules are. And this is funny because it actually came from one of my original mentors. This individual, his name is Steve, and he sat me down when I was young. I started real estate when I was 23 years old, and I just wanted to be a real estate investor. I was out driving neighborhoods, finding rundown, dilapidated houses, tracking down the owners, and trying to do wholesaling. Steve, on the other hand, my mentor, he owned properties. He owned big real estate buildings and a portfolio of homes. And I said, man, that's what I want to do. I want to be a landlord. And he sat me down. He said, Dave, whenever you are bringing on a new tenant, there are only 3 rules for any rental property. That's what we're getting into in this video. So RJ, what is rule number 1 when you are sitting down with a tenant and you're saying, hey, these are the rules if you're going to live in this property? What are the rules?
So first and foremost, pay your rent on time. Make sure that they know where to pay the rent and how to pay the rent. But first and foremost, make sure that they understand that it's due on the 1st, and then after so many days, it is late, and they'll have a late fee, and then the eviction process starts. Very clear. Pay your rent on time.
Rule number 1, pay your rent on time. And you know what we used to do, everybody? And you can consider doing this as well. I mean, ACH is the best to collect your rent. If you could just set up the tenant early on with an ACH system where you just draft the rent out of their account on the 1st of the month, that's ideal. But what we have done in the past when we really didn't have the ACH set up, we just had the tenant pay their rent directly at the bank. So we would give them the bank account number for the rental account, and they would go and pay their rent at the bank. And then you just have to tell the tenant, you know, hey, make sure you write the address, or write, you know, the address of where they're living at, or write their name, obviously, on the deposit slip. And then you at home, when you're going through and you're looking at your online deposits, you will see the deposit slip that they filled out, so you know which resident or which tenant made that deposit. And then when the tenant goes and makes this payment, the banker is going to give them a receipt, and that is the receipt, that proof of payment. And because sometimes, hey, mistakes happen to everybody. Sometimes, you know, you as the manager or the landlord might call and say, hey, we didn't get your rent this month. Oh no, if they have that receipt, they just take a quick little picture of it, send it over to you, and you say, oh, okay, that's where that deposit went. So it's good for the tenant, it's good for you as well. It's like an automatic deposit. Obviously, ACH is number 1, direct deposit. But if you don't have the ability to get direct deposit, have the tenant go right down to the bank and just fill out that deposit slip, put their name or address on there, so it goes right into your account. But that's rule number 1. We got 2 more rules to discuss. Rule number 1, when you're sitting down with the resident who's going to move into your property, pay your rent on time. What's number 2?
Number 2, and this is very important, obviously, but same with rent, but number 2 is to keep your place clean. And, you know, it's sometimes common sense, but common sense isn't always common practice. And residents, we're all dirty, guys. Even the neat freak who thinks that they're clean, at the end of the day, someone else can go in there and say, you're dirty. So you gotta have that conversation with them and make your best judgment. You know, you can pretty much tell if somebody's gonna keep your place clean or not, but you gotta explain to it that it's your house. Until you guys maybe doing rent to own, and maybe they're trying to buy the house. But right now, it's not their house. They have to keep it clean, so that not only interior keep it clean, but exterior keep it clean, because that could get you in trouble with the city. You're gonna get some code violations for not taking out your trash, or, you know, putting trash out and then, you know, out in the yard and not actually near the curb where they're gonna pick it up. So keep your place clean.
Keep your place clean, and then make it very clear to these residents, hey, if there's the code violations come in because they're trash, they're responsible for that. That should be part of the lease. But to be specific with your resident when you're sitting them down, one word comes to mind, you know, because the word clean is subjective. What's clean to one person may not be clean to the next person, but you got to be very upfront about rodent and pest infestation, specifically roaches and bed bugs. I can't tell you how many times we've had it. You know, people, you know, we do a 30-day a 90-day inspection. We send somebody through on our team to kind of inspect the property, make sure it's being upkept, and we just see it's completely, you know, covered in bugs and whatnot.
We've seen some weird stuff.
We've seen some weird stuff. And we will say, hey, you know, you're responsible. These bugs were not in the property when you first moved in. We actually make them sign off on it when they're first, you know, moving in.
That and pets. Like sometimes you will go there in a 90-day inspection and you're like, yeah, we saw a huge Rottweiler. Now we like dogs. We have dogs at home, but you gotta, you know, either have a dog policy where they have a pet policy where they have to put a pet deposit, and after that, another, you know, pet fee, whatever it is, because ultimately you're going to be responsible for that when they leave. It's just a matter of time, right? So we've seen pets, lizards, snakes, whatever, and we don't allow any of that. But if you're going to do that, make sure that you have it outlined in your lease as rules that they shouldn't be having that, and if they are, then charge a pet fee for sure. It's going to cost you.
Yeah, so rule number 1, pay your rent on time. Rule number 2, keep your place clean, and that's clean from pests, pets, and damages. And RJ, what is rule number 3?
Don't party, don't smoke pot. No, rule number 3 is keep your, you know, be kind to your neighbors. Don't disturb your neighbors. And because guess what, your neighbor, if you're moving into a house in that new neighborhood and you don't have a good relationship with your neighbor, they're going to give you a lot of trouble. So make sure that you're not disturbing them by having loud parties, being a nuisance. You know, you don't want that. It's going to cause you more headache than you want.
And that's especially relevant, everybody, when you own an apartment building, because those apartments are so close to each other and typically you can hear through the walls. Don't disturb your neighbors. This is what we say to people. It happens with the single families as well, you know. Somebody's constantly fighting with their neighbors or partying, and then they're disrupting the neighbors. Now the phone's gonna ring. The last thing you want as a property owner, landlord, or property manager is the phone to ring. You want the phone to not ring, ever. Unless it's a motivated seller who wants to sell you more properties, but typically that's not the case. You don't want any calls, and you don't want to have to make any calls. You don't want to have to disturb this tenant and say, hey, where's the money? Hey, we're getting reports on code violations. No, phone calls are not a good thing. You don't want any communication. And typically, these rules are the top 3 rules. Number 1, pay your rent on time. Number 2, keep your place clean. Number 3, do not disturb or fight with your neighbors. And if every tenant just followed these 3 rules, the world would be a much better place in the world of real estate investing. But hey, take these rules to the bank. We use them on every single property. This has been a quick video just to help you on your real estate investing journey. Make sure you continue to follow us. We have some really cool workshops coming up to really get granular and get into the nitty-gritty on teaching you real estate. Every department of real estate, the acquisitions, dispositions, construction, property management. We go through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb with people that attend our workshops. So make sure you check out the link below and join us at one of our workshops, or even the mastermind that we will be having, a destination mastermind. It's your boy Dave P and RJ Pepino. We are the cream, and we'll see you on the next video.